This is Jessica.
This is Kelly, the Chasing Brighter podcast.
In today's podcast episode, Kelly and I talk about the global shortage of employees, and Kelly explores her own thoughts and opinions about tipping. Enjoy. So one of my favorite coffee shops, there was a sign outside that said, "There is a global shortage of workers. Please be kind to the people who showed up." And I was like, what? And I'm not one.
Oh, you don't think about that? I think about that all the time.
It's pretty rare that I am in some kind of crazy hurry where I go to a place and I'm like, where's, like if I stand there and they're clearly busy right at the coffee shop, like they weren't like normally, say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they might've been like, hello, right away. But I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm in coffee heaven. Look at the pastries, whatever. And so then after I saw that sign, I'm like, oh yeah, like it took longer for someone to greet me. It took longer to get the coffee, but I don't put myself in a position where I'm in that much of a hurry where I'm a crazy person.
I am like a very generous tipper right now too, like at least 20%, but most of the time I try to tip 25%. I have a really hard time with it. I have a really hard time right now because a lot of people I'll go out with, not a lot, but some of them will just tip maybe 20% at most because a lot of people are like traditional 18. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how to I noticed we went out to brunch this weekend. And
so you tip more than 20%?
I tip 25% normally, Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying though is a lot of math when you add the 5 in there. But I can do 10%.
I round up hefty.
But then you're doing.
Beckett had his first reconciliation this week, and we went out to dinner on Thursday night, and Beck wanted steak and lobster, and we just were like, we don't want to drive downtown for steak and lobster. It was a school night, so we went. Do you have to go at one?
No.
I'll make this quick, but anyway, so they had this place we looked at. It had chicken fried lobster. And
chicken fried lobster?
Yeah. And steak. It's a regular restaurant we go to. It's very close. It's always easy to get into. So I was like, let's just go there. We can make it steak and lobster. So he ends up ordering the chicken fried lobster for appetizer. And then I'm like, well, the steak was like $50. And I was like, so Beck, the steak is $50. It was a filet. I was like, or you can get a burger and it's $18. And I'm like, if you don't need a steak as a steak, like a burger is kind of a piece of meat. Like, why not do the $18 burger? So he's like, fine, I'll do the burger. So when the server came, I was like, hey, it's his. I said we were celebrating his birthday, by the way, because it was a special occasion. So I was like, it's your birthday tonight. So they're like, happy birthday. And he was like, what? I was like, just go with it. It's your birthday. So anyway, I was like, it's his birthday. He wanted steak and lobster. I'm like, but I mean, that's kind of a lot of food. So I was like, I just kind of told him maybe he should get a burger because of the lobster. We're doing chicken fried lobster. I think we're going to be fine. So the store was like, okay, yeah. And she was very nice. We got everything. A lot of people came up and said happy birthday. I was a regular restaurant. I was surprised how kind they were. The chef got word that Beck wanted steak and lobster, brings a steak over to the table as part of the steak and lobster. And it's a $50 steak, even though it's just a steak. So, and that's like, we didn't order it. Well, I mean, so when I paid the bill, I was like, I got to at least add $50.
Did they charge you for the steak?
No, they didn't charge me for the steak, but I feel like as a courtesy, add $50 onto the tip because
You're insane. My God. What are you just rolling? Did you just walk into the restaurant and you just start
Well, I feel like those are the things where like, I'm grateful that those people are working there. And I just feel like when they do random acts of kindness, they're not expecting, that was the chef. He's not expecting anything in return. Right. But how awesome is that server going to feel when she comes home and has that extra money in her pocket? She had a tip out. Probably they had a couple bus people. Like it's a bigger restaurant. And so, right. To me, I may not do a lot of community service and I don't go to church every day and all those things, but like, that's my service. That is how I feel like my way of giving back.
Right.
Is like that's doing things like that.
To think about it. That's a cool way to think about it.
Anyway.
I thought 20% was a lot. I thought I was being generous and that cheap people tip 10 and 15 is above and like 20, I thought I was
Oh no. I mean, also like I go out a lot with people who are in the service industry too. But when I was a server, I would have I expected 20% all the time. Like I did my math on how much money I was taking home based on the fact that I would get a 20% tip. And I rarely got 20% tips, but I think that's for people's income.
When I bartended and served, I had no idea that was more money than I've ever made in my life. I remember when I got my first job.
I think bartending
and
you make
she
more
had
money.
$6 an hour. I thought it's $6 an hour. I was like,
But 20% on a $5 drink is
I did not do math. I had no idea what was happening in Applebee's. I just took my money.
But
so excited.
I went out to brunch this weekend with a couple girls, and there were 4 of us, and we got the bill, and it was like $25 per person, let's say. So I noticed the person next to me tipped $4.
Oh, I tipped
for $25. She tipped $4, and I was like, there are.
How long were you there?
4 of us, an hour and a half.
Okay.
So what was funny is I got my thing, and I put $7 on there because I was like, she's going to short him. I figured another person on my group was going to short her too. And so I was like, I'm just going to do $7. Well, the other girl next to me, I noticed what we did is we signed them, and then she grabbed the stack and she put hers underneath. So then I put mine underneath too. Cause again, I feel like if people saw that I was giving more of a tip, then they feel like a jerk. And I don't want people to feel like a jerk, but maybe I should. I just am like, I'm going to take care of her, and you don't worry. You just worry. You think you gave a good tip. That's fine.
What percent is $4? 18%?
Probably.
So 10% is $2.50. Yeah. So it's not like, so that's funny that you think that person's like a cheapskate.
I think we should be, honestly, my opinion is in the pandemic, because of the global shortage of people, especially service industry, I believe people should be tipping $25.
25%.
25%. Sorry, 25%. Because
thank you for my coffee. Here's $25. Oh my God.
If you sit at a coffee shop,
I just keep hundreds in my wallet, and
if you sit at a coffee shop and you get a $3 coffee and you sit there for 4 hours, do you tip the staff?
I don't know. I really have no idea what kind of life you think I lead. I would if I could sit somewhere for, did you say 4 hours?
I can't, if I show up at a coffee shop, I can't leave.
I don't have any time to.
I haven't really done that, but I feel like a good rule of thumb is like a couple bucks an hour. So whatever you're drinking plus or eating plus a couple bucks an hour.
I don't so all of our coffee shops, a lot of the ones I go to, right? They use the Square, right? They have the iPad.
Yeah.
And you just touch the amount.
Yeah, but they always have a tip jar too. I mean, I'm just suggesting stuff. I'm not saying these are always rules to live by, but I did go to the coffee shop the other day, and I usually just try to tip well because I'm like, I know I'm going to be sitting here for a couple hours, so I'm going to add a couple more bucks on.
Yeah. Also for you, I also think that is a representation of where we are geographically, right? Like I live where you can be outside year round, and you live where it's cold 9 months out of the year, 8 months.
Depends on what you think is cold.
Yeah. So that would make more sense. Like you're also in, like you're literally inside a coffee shop. When I say go to a coffee shop, we sit outside. I'm not like inside. And so then you're also seeing everybody and seeing the staff, seeing them work.
You're like I'm partaking more in their services probably in some way. Like
right. What are your thoughts about tipping, and what have your experiences been with the global shortage of employees? Have you been experiencing that? And also, what are your thoughts about Kelly talking about thinking it as a way of giving back to her community? She doesn't have time to volunteer. She was saying that she doesn't go to church as often as she'd like. So she looks at it as a way to give back. We'd love to hear your feedback. That's all for today. Thanks for listening.
And don't forget to follow us on chasingbrighter.com or on YouTube at Chasing Brighter or on Instagram at Chasing Brighter.